Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Missing the Mark podcast. It is May 13th. Unfortunately, it is still 2020, which is why we're all doing this via Zoom. But ladies and gentlemen, we are back and ready to go. There's a lot of wrestling news for us to discuss. But first off, before we jump into this, I want to thank everybody that joined us during our Money in the Bank live stream reaction. It was the shortest pay-per-view I have ever witnessed. I got way too drunk way too soon that day because I did not expect a 2-hour show. But it happened, and it ended up being the shortest WWE pay-per-view since 2006. So, I mean, it was crazy for all of us. The worst. Yeah, we're all lit. But let's just jump right into this and start introducing everybody. But let's start it off with the GCF SoCal champion that is very quickly nearing his long-year title reign. Ladies and gentlemen, the champ, Chris Kadillak.
What is up? And, this looks like the old-school WWE title, but it's now the GCF SoCal Championship. I just got it the other day, and I have not put it down, and I won't put it down. They even showered with me. So, yeah, I'm here. Hi, guys.
You got to start OnlyFans with that belt and just see.
I'll take Shawn Michaels pictures, bro. Take Shawn Michaels pictures with it.
That's your year-long photo shoot? Just poses like that, this year-long celebration?
And that's how I started OnlyFans.
Let's go to the GCF commissioner, Joseph Saint.
How's it going, everyone? I do apologize for being quite inebriated during the Money in the Bank live reaction. But, you know, if you had to sit through it too, you understand why. That was, I've said it multiple times on Twitter, that was the worst event that I've ever seen. That was worse than December to Dismember, which, if you remember, ruined ECW, ruined the brand split at the time, ruined the separate pay-per-views. Money in the Bank was awful. It was horrible, but we'll get into more of that later. We actually are joined by another guest this week, first time on Missing the Mark. We
Mike Shinoda.
We have Vic. Vic, how have you been?
Good. Why am I here?
I mean, really, the investors just want to know
that all the time.
The investors wanted to make sure that no one died under my watch, so they want to make sure, Vic, you're still smiling, you're still happy. How are you, Vic?
I'm good. Just letting you know I don't have the corona because I don't drink.
See what you did there. Clever.
That's good to know.
Yeah, right now I got that Modelo virus.
Ooh.
Oh.
I'm not a corona guy.
I know I had some on Sunday, and God, it was disgusting. I'm not able to do it anymore. Yeah, it's not hitting. Maybe it's because of the virus. I don't know. Let's throw it to the owner of GCF, RJ Wallace.
How's it going, guys? I wasn't as drunk as everyone else last Sunday, but I agree with Saint when he says that was a very terrible pay-per-view that we watched, and we are sorry that we subjected you guys to such terrible wrestling programming, but at least we
didn't force them to watch. We just wanted them to hear us watch.
Yeah, that was some bad stuff.
It was a shared experience.
It was.
You know, I mean, as wrestling fans, you got to go through these experiences. Gotta take the bad sometimes.
I'm sorry, man. RJ, you look like when they do those like documentaries and those people want like their face hidden.
Oh, like a gangland? Yep.
All we gotta do is just change your voice, and it would literally be that. Like you're trying to hide your identity.
That's just what it is right now.
It's like the view of the girl that's under your desk.
POV.
POV.
I mean, if you had a girl.
Oh.
And
the
shots
I'm
have
not gonna come with a rebuttal because
I'm kidding, bro. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
So let things slide, dude, man.
Yeah, my situation's much more.
Yeah, I was like, I can't even say nothing, man.
You're an asshole for wanting. You're an asshole for wanting to make that joke.
No, for a second, I was like, this one. Oh,
but man, I respect it. I respect.
All I had to do was look on my wall and be like, "Yep, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it."
I love you.
Hollywood, take it away.
All right, let's jump right into this before this goes way out of line real quick. I mean, we're already at that OnlyFans POV. I mean, this is already the start of episode number 5 of Missing the Mark.
Hollywood's going to edit the entire beginning out.
I promise. I'm going to have to have like 3 different cuts in between. But let's just jump right into this. Money in the Bank, 2 hours long. What did you guys think of that? Did you enjoy that it was a shorter pay-per-view, or did you actually want more from it?
There was nothing on that card that I enjoyed. Could I sit here and tell you some good aspects of each match? Not every match. That's the other worst part. I could tell you that Rollins and McIntyre was better than I thought it would be. I mean, 2 very talented guys, but that was the best match on the card, and it wasn't even up to their caliber. And other than that, the card itself was garbage. Tamina versus Bayley was far worse than I had, and I don't really have expectations out of a lot of women's matches on WWE product. But no, that pay-per-view sucked.
I thought there were good parts of it, like just good for the bad reasons. Like it was really like it was good for bad reasons. Like I don't know, it was one of those you were expecting a shit show, and
It delivered.
Delivered. It delivered that, but it was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I hated the fact that it was like 2 hours. It felt like most of it was just useless, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't miss anything. I could have just not watched it, and I felt fine with missing the show. I mean, obviously we did that because obviously I think that's kind of been successful on the channel so far. By the way, since then we've gained 3 new subs, so we're growing internally here on GCF. Make sure you slap that subscribe button as always here at the Gold Coast Federation's YouTube channel. We have more content coming your way. But I mean, Seth Drew was actually pretty decent. I'll give him that. But that was probably the only redeeming quality from that show. The Money in the Bank was as much of a cluster that I thought it was, and it was probably even worse. You know, I think they added so much and did way too much to try to add things that didn't need to be added.
Well, that's the point. The little Easter eggs that were there for no reason, and they weren't even entertaining Easter eggs. You know, having the worst impression of a Doink the Clown ever come up behind the chair, like he wasn't even fully dressed as Doink. That was stupid. Having, I'm trying to think what else they even did.
That was pretty dumb.
Yeah, Brother Love in the bathroom. Why? Why? It wasn't even like callbacks to anything. That's the problem. It was just like for the sake of. It was just stupid. And then you had the winner being Otis. I can't get over that.
Who got distracted by food twice during the match. Like,
and was too fat to climb the ladder. Remember that. He bent the ladder, stepping on it. So they made a point to they made a point of showing that this fat man can't get over, but hey, he won.
Ish, yeah. I mean, it fumbled into his arms and then throwing Ray off the building and Aleister Black, which then isn't really explained on the next night on Raw when they
just kind of show up and it's like, okay.
Yeah, they're here. And then they're kind of like really vaguely say that they landed on a secondary roof because apparently that makes things better. I never understood the explanation there. Like,
that's say that they ignore anything that they said. They landed on a roof, fine. But you just had King Corbin announce his intention to murder. That's still attempted murder.
I was going to say. Where I'm from, you tried to throw people off buildings. Jesus.
You had Vince and Austin get arrested all the time, but Baron Corbin tries to kill men.
Gets away scot-free with this shit.
And they edited in screaming sound noises of Ray being thrown off. Like,
they didn't.
Yes, they did. If you rewatch it, you can hear him, like his edited scream be like, the volume was super raised on that spot. Same with Aleister. They had like that Looney Tunes cartoon moment when they're being tossed over there.
I saw someone on Twitter added the Goofy scream. That was hilarious.
Oh, man.
Vic, I'm not sure if you were able to watch Money in the Bank, but if you were, what are your quick thoughts about everything that transpired on Sunday?
The only thing that I mentioned to people before, but the whole Asuka recreating that, what's her name? That Sue Lin girl?
The woman that mysteriously disappeared.
Elisa Lam. That was her
Lisa
name.
Lynch.
That's the joke I made that was lost on everybody, and I was so mad.
Well,
Oh, that was the joke you said? Oh,
Yes!
okay. I didn't hear it. Okay.
Lisa
Dude,
Lynch.
it was mirroring her action, like 100%.
To a T, yeah.
And it's funny that
Someone
they
even
picked
did like
Asuka
a
to do
side by
it.
side video.
Like,
Yeah,
wow, all right.
that was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she is a wrestler. You don't know. You don't know though.
Yeah, and also that 3 women didn't even make it to the roof, and I didn't even notice.
Because what's her name slipped and was gone forever.
Dana Brooke. Yo, that was the spot of the night. That was
First, you had Dana Brooke grab a fake briefcase in the middle of the room. And then you had Stephanie mock her for it. And then you had Dana slip later on, fall down in a hallway, and never seen again.
It was just so terribly edited. Like whoever planned that show just did such a bad job, just making it work. It didn't make sense to me at all. And again, just 2 hours could have missed it. I really could have.
Can we talk about the Vince McMahon of it all as well? Like, first of all, he looks like death. He looks horrible. But
Crypt
secondly,
Keeper.
the fact that he went over that spot with AJ and Daniel because he didn't want anyone to touch his dinosaur. That's known. He said this. No one is allowed to touch the dinosaur bones in my office. Vince is senile. I'm just saying.
Sounds like it. That's
Yeah.
This Vincent jeans is weird.
the grandpa jeans for Vince.
Right?
Well, then you have him wishing his 99-year-old mother a happy Mother's Day, which means Vince McMahon is going to live forever. And
The magnets just don't perish; they just keep on living. It's the Crypt Keeper effect, man. Well, that went to Monday Night Raw. What happened?
it's because
And that took us to Monday Night Raw, where apparently Becky had this major announcement. Obviously, here on GCF, we are huge Becky Lynch fans. I think we've shown that in the past. This is definitely a Becky Lynch fan club here. So Becky Lynch had this major announcement to do on Monday Night Raw, and the video ended up on YouTube getting 2 million views. So obviously, it was a big moment for that. So she relinquishes the women's title after holding it for a full calendar year, and pretty much just gives it to Asuka, which kind of made the Money in the Bank women's match pretty much, pointless if you think about it. Yeah, should have just made that match for the women's title if you really would have thought the whole process through. If you already knew that she was going to do this.
Come out later that pretty much because like Becky comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase.
yes, they made Becky imply that the
match
championship was in there the whole time.
Yeah, you knew the gist of what was happening. Plus the rumors, everybody already knew, like on Twitter, which I was like, damn, I don't know how they found out that quickly, but whatever, it is what it is. And she hasn't competed since that WrestleMania match with Shayna, so it was kind of already being rumored out there, but nobody really had a confirmation of that. I would love to get your guys' opinion about her relinquishing the title and what do you think is next with Asuka as champion. I said on Twitter, I just wonder how long it takes Vince to pull the trigger and give Charlotte the title and have her the champion of NXT and Monday Night Raw, because it's going to happen at some point.
Well, they'd be contradicting themselves big time. Away from Paige when she won the Divas title. You know what I mean? When she had both titles, they'd be contradicting.
That's true.
And again, WWE contradicts themselves all the damn time.
Always.
True.
This is nothing.
The main thing is, okay, did at least Data get it? Did she get to keep the briefcase full of money that she pulled out? Hope so.
They never
doubt
expect
it.
that either.
They don't. It's good riddance. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about it. Good riddance to Becky. And nothing against her at the end of the day. She got herself over naturally, and then the machine got behind her and made her stale. So that's how I feel about Becky. But it can only mean good things for the women's division, her being gone. You got rid of her, and you got rid of Ronda. Now is the time for every other diva to step up, Yeah.
Even ones from NXT. Give Io a good push. Bring Candice up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Push Shayna.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they've done such damage to Shayna now.
Yeah.
It's the time to push her.
Yeah, you have Kairi Sane still there. You have Asuka. You have Shayna Baszler. Those are three women that could really carry that division, probably better than what we've seen the last few years. So I mean, I'm confident from the talent standpoint. But I mean, Vince being Vince, he's going to shoot himself in the foot. He's going to book himself into a corner to where he has to do what he has to do and either bring back Ronda with some ridiculous new contract or end up just giving it to Charlotte because she's already going on Raw almost every other week. Nothing has changed. We said this after WrestleMania when she won the NXT Women's title. Would she stay on NXT only or be on both shows? She's been on both shows. So nothing has really changed whatsoever from that point of view. So, I mean, if you're an Asuka fan, I just hold your breath because I just don't see Vince staying with her for the long run.
Well, I said right now the ones that Vince is pushing are the ones that he's laughing at. Asuka, Otis, even I was about to say Crime Time because that's how bad they've been pushed. Street Profits. It's anyone that can get a chuckle out of McMahon right now. Vince is just going with it, and that's
our truth, our fucking truth.
Yes,
our truth over Vink and MVP and Shane. Come on.
Yeah, it's bad. The product as a whole, I don't see any way right now of fixing it, and they're just making dumber decisions. Case in point, I'm sure we'll get to it, but NXT.
We'll get. I got to put it on my notes. But
Hollywood, they play basketball, man.
You beat me to it. You know what? I brought this up on Sunday that I would watch any form of basketball. I lied. I fucking lied because not even that could make me watch basketball. I was embarrassed, dude.
You shot yourself in the foot with that tweet.
I didn't know Vince was going to be so eager for views that he was going to make up some stupid basketball game between.
Vince is watching. Vince is watching.
Oh, absolutely he is.
But even
then, you senile bastard.
You still like even with that segment, you still had the Viking Raiders in their gear playing basketball. That's what was dumb to me. I was like, so what? They just don't know about the sport of basketball,
and they ended up winning, right?
And then they threw the game and then revealed that they're better at it.
Yeah, they were like the three ninjas in the basketball scene, if anybody remembers that. Old.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Deep cuts, man. Deep cuts. But whole thing with that thing, it's like, what does it do? It doesn't add anything, man. Like, this is where tag team wrestling is at in the WWE.
Well, that's
then you wonder why all these tag teams leave.
They filmed the show. They went, hey, we have about 25 minutes of airtime. What do we do? Basketball? I don't know.
You know what? That's exactly what happened. They're like, you know what? We don't want to run short like we did last night. Should have had a basketball segment last night. We'll do it today.
For Monday.
And it's funny that Vince would rather have short pay-per-views, but no, let's still have a 3-hour Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are we doing?
Nobody to push, just why?
I wouldn't mind the short pay-per-view if it was a stronger pay-per-view.
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah, if there wasn't a bunch of like loose ends that they just throw in together just to push the pay-per-view, because a lot of it just felt forced. A lot of it just felt like an episode of SmackDown, just with the Money in the Bank, highly produced HD version of it that we got. And I expect WWE to continue doing that. But now Becky's gone. I would assume eventually Seth would go as well, and I wouldn't blame him. I mean,
and I thought that was the process behind having Seth shake Drew's hand when I saw that Becky was pregnant, but then you had Seth turn around and impale Mysterio's eye last night.
Yeah, because
it's a shitty week for him.
Yeah, but Ray can survive getting thrown off a roof. God forbid you attack the eyeball that apparently Eddie Guerrero attacked when he wanted Dominic back. That's when
someone just shivs him right there, just jam and twist.
That just means more stem cells. That's all.
He got the one spot where he didn't get a shot at. Ray's like filled up with shots everywhere, but he didn't get the eyeball. And Seth knew. I just really hope they're not doing the whole broken gimmick with Seth. I know they are, but like, man.
Oh no, you can definitely tell. Like they're doing something where like Seth is kind of just like.
He was doing a cult thing, right? So maybe they'll turn him into the new Raven.
I mean, shouldn't that be Bray though?
Yeah, but I mean,
it should be, but it won't.
A lot of things should be in WWE and they never are.
Right.
But it brings me to this. I mean, so Becky's gone. Seth, I would assume at some point along the road we'll see him go as well, probably after SummerSlam. I'm just assuming because we've seen Roman Reigns do that as well. The roster is pretty much depleted as it could be, as it's ever been.
So you have wild card.
There we go. According to reports, and
Wild card, bitches.
the WWE wild card is. I think they're calling it the SmackDown Raw Invitational.
The brand invitational.
The brand invitational. The wild card was such a failure the first time, especially when Vince introduced it. It completely buried Seth. It made Kofi's title run just seem mediocre compared to what they were doing with Seth and Becky at the time after that WrestleMania. It completely tanked SmackDown because you didn't really care about it at that time because you can see the SmackDown superstars on Raw anyways. Why, go for another show on a different day? I don't think this is going to work, especially Drew McIntyre versus Corbin. Nobody the hell wants to see that shit. I love Drew, but Corbin is in the draw right now.
No one wants to see Corbin other than McMahon, and that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe Corbin sucks a mean dick, but clearly he's doing something for Vince, and Vince is the only fan. And that's the thing. They think that Corbin's getting heel heat. He's not. He's getting go-away heat. He's getting less than boss man heat. It's not working. There's nothing that works for Corbin. I don't know.
Oh, preach. You've said it perfectly well. I would just love to get you guys' opinion about the whole wild card. Do you think it's our only choice with the depleted roster, or do you just think it's going to be another terrible idea like the first time?
It's not their only choice, but they've made some bad decisions. I don't think they ever should have put the Cruiserweight title as part of NXT. I think they could have put that back on SmackDown like it was years ago and focused on Cruiserweight wrestling on one show versus other wrestling on the other. I think there's a ways of you could be elevating your underused roster right now instead of taking the guys that you think are over and putting them on both shows. That's a bad business decision. And I heard that it was both Fox's request and USA, which doesn't make sense to me because Fox is getting screwed in this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like Fox should be the most annoyed out of this whole thing. It didn't work the last time. It ruined SmackDown for a little bit. So I don't understand why Fox would be like, hey, let's do this. RJ, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, I just hope this shows Vince, or the higher ups in WWE how terrible of a deal they made with Fox, because now you have another entity pretty much dictating your business moves, and Vince was never that guy, back in the day to let anybody tell him what to do. So, now that this is happening, it's just give up the company now, man. Just let your kids run it, dude.
And that's
letting
the
Fox
point.
Tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Just let Steph and Triple H and maybe Shane, take the reins,
And again, which is what we talked about last week. When we say let them take over, let your kids take over. Do not sell to Disney. Do not sell to an outside product. Give it the same way that your father gave you this business. Give it to your kids. Yeah. Don't sell it to a conglomerate company that doesn't know what wrestling is. That's stupid.
That was the other thing.
Donald.
That was the other thing too. Of all deals to make, why with Fox? You've been working with ESPN for the last couple of years. Why not work with ESPN?
Yeah.
And why Fox? Fox. I feel like that wasn't really the big move. ESPN is catered to sports. If you are a sports entertainment company, you would want to be under ESPN because you're still airing.
Well, but look what it took for ESPN to want them. World Crisis, where they have nothing else to air.
But
if this was the real world again, ESPN doesn't want anything to do with wrestling.
True, but I don't know. I feel like WWE has always been so big where it's been mentioned on ESPN, time and time again, whether it's, through other athletes, mentioning it, or just how big wrestling has gotten, that it could have almost been a no-brainer, but in some way you still are affiliated with Disney, but even then, you're not going to be influenced by them. I just figured, you already had ESPN right here. Why did you have to jump through hoops to get a deal with Fox when you got ESPN right there? I just never understood that, because Fox is doing you guys no good. I mean, look what they're doing to UFC. Again, that's also Dana White being a shit owner. So
that's them being greedy and wanting money, so they'll do any deal that they get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't understand what they're doing with this, and they brought it up as well that that Sami Zayn, who it was the IC champion, he's been stripped of the title because he's chosen to stay home and stay safe, and now they're doing another tournament, another drawn out tournament, which I'm just, why can't you just give the title to like Shinsuke or Cesaro, somebody that's actually been with them? That's the whole point of that little stable that they've been building. If you're gonna have Becky just relinquish her title to the Money in the Bank winner, I don't see why you could have Sammy kind of have Shinsuke and Cesaro kind of hold the fort down for him. It just makes more sense for me booking wise than just another drawn out tournament, which is probably now going to include Raw and SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
So it just seems like another cluster. Again,
absolutely,
booking themselves against the wall, and they've been doing this ever since this pandemic has happened, and I understand it completely, but there's smarter ways of conducting their business than what they're doing. This just kind of seems like they're throwing things at the wall and hoping they stick, and gives them some kind of push.
Absolutely, but this also makes them look bad when a month ago you had them go public and say, we're not holding anyone responsible if they choose to stay home during this. Well, what happens when they choose to stay home? Roman Reigns chooses to stay home, and you have them making him erase him from certain footage. Sami Zayn stays home, you strip him of the belt. The Cruiserweight champ can't get out of his country, you strip him of the belt. It looks bad. They aren't making good decisions for the public image right now.
And if you watch NXT, you might see somebody else get changed the belts. I'll just throw that out there. Spoiler alert. But we'll see how they do it. I mean, like you said, exactly. They're just not. They're saying they understand, but they're not really going with what they're supposed to go with. I mean, Becky leaves and she gets a T-shirt. Everybody else, they get stripped of their titles. It just doesn't make sense. So let's bring it back to the Money in the Bank, because I thought this was very interesting. It's been reported that Otis is planning to cash in his men's Money in the Bank for the tag team championships. Now, I got kind of shit for this on Twitter because I thought that would be an absolute waste. You've already wasted the Money in the Bank for 4 years. Corbin was the first one to waste, pretty much. After that was Braun. You wasted that to bring back the Shield. After that, you did it with Brock just to bring back Seth up because Seth was just getting diminished as a babyface. Now, this year, you give it to Otis. Kadillak, look, I don't really necessarily hate it too much with Otis. You got to strike when the iron's hot. Obviously, they're going full force with Otis, but making them go for tag team championships, just have a separate tag team Money in the Bank. There's no reason to have a singles Money in the Bank just for it to use it to win tag team championships for a tag division that is just worthless at this point.
Well, and I imagine that this all has to end in a heel turn for Otis's partner. I don't see any way around this. I don't understand pushing Otis either, because I think he's a novelty act more so than even Santino Marella was. When you had Santino in the Hell in a Cell and Santino in the Last Man in the Rumble, and you had everyone cheering for him, I couldn't stand it. But like looking back, I would rather him have this push right now than Otis. Otis is not a draw. Otis does not show talent in the ring. Otis is boring to me. It's just that little moment of like, oh, he's funny. He's imitating Chris Farley. This is funny. Like, that's not anything that I want to see as a main eventer in wrestling. So in a way, if he uses it on tag titles, I would say good. But, that is a stupid-ass decision. That is a waste of a Money in the Bank when they've already wasted the women's one. So it's a throwaway pay-per-view.
2 hours and 36-minute throwaway pay-per-view that I'll never get back. I mean, it's like thankfully we all watched it together, so we were all like just talking shit the whole time. But still, man, and it's a singles title. It's supposed to be not. It's just it doesn't make sense to me. I completely understand that, but like Otis doesn't need the Money in the Bank to go for tag team titles. Just actually build his tag team. You're turning the other guy into Jannetty pretty much to push this whole Mandy love story that nobody's buying. It's just funny,
right?
And now you just use that. A storyline that really had no metric or no care in the world got a WrestleMania spot, and now it's been pushed all the way to Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
booking backed against your wall again. It goes back to that. I don't trust creative right now whatsoever.
No.
It's going to get a lot worse than it gets better. I'm just saying that right now. It's getting kind of ridiculous, and that brings me to this year's SummerSlam. Now, WWE was hoping that SummerSlam would make up for WrestleMania. It's probably not going to, because they're already looking for a change of venue. They were hoping to have the Hall of Fame during SummerSlam. It's probably not happening. They were hoping to have a takeover during SummerSlam weekend. That's probably not happening either, and we'll get to that in a couple of moments right now. So now they're looking at different venues because they are determined to have fans at SummerSlam one way or another. So they're looking at Florida and they're looking at Georgia as new locations for this year's SummerSlam to have at least 25% of fans at attendance for the show. I don't know, man. It just sounds like another cluster that we're in for.
I mean, I know Vince is hell-bent on it, and so, yes, there will be fans there. I have 100% faith in that. There'll be fans, but this will be a mess. This will be an absolute mess. And, I mean, I've been asking the question the whole time of any sports right now. How do you hold 25% for an audience? How do you manage that when they get in? You're going to have every other seat blocked off? And aside from that, how do you manage them getting in? You still have to have people line up to get in. It's very weird. It's a very weird thought process behind this. I don't know, and I've said many times, I'm the one that fought this as far as I could. I was going to have a show, but I can't do that. And once that came about, I acknowledged I couldn't do it. I listened. I'm waiting. They don't do that. Vince doesn't listen, and that's why he's where he is right now. There's no way about that. Vince has ran himself into this corner because he's so damn stubborn, and I don't see a way out for WWE. So they're just going to keep losing everything right now because Vince is too stubborn.
Very good point. Very good point, sir.
Thank you. It's bad.
RJ, still there? You're still like identity crisis, like just waiting for you to say something.
Well, no. I mean, like, everything Saint said is right, man. Like, it's just not much you can do at this point. I mean, and even if he does go to Florida or Georgia, like, knowing like how terribly those states have treated this situation, they might be in their final phase of opening by August. So Vince might get his wish, So, but even then, it's too much of a risk to do it. Either just do it at the Performance Center, like your other pay-per-views, or just finally bite the bullet and be like, look, you can't do it. Like, you just can't do it. Like, don't push so hard for this one. One, your biggest show of the year went 2 nights and didn't do so well, and you just had a shitty Money in the Bank pay-per-view. With no end in sight as to will the product get better, which it probably won't, and it for damn sure won't by August if it keeps going this route. So I mean, who knows with this company, man? Like, all in all, until management changes and until that call is the call is made for better people to run the product, shit's not going to change. So you just got to take it for what they give you, Or you can just keep watching GCF stuff and just, you can tell with that,
Yeah, I mean, we have more content coming to the GCF YouTube channel, so as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Look, man, they don't have really a plan. It's just kind of like, we'll see what happens when the time gets here, and then when it gets here, we'll just kind of make something up and we'll just go along with it. Like Saint said, I don't get how you could police a 25% crowd and make that work. And especially in an arena, it's just going to be very difficult. And it might sound actually maybe even worse because it's just going to be so spread out.
Oh, yeah.
Just clusters of people depending of how you do that. I don't see, like, 25% ain't shit, man. They're talking about, like, I don't know, like maybe a section that depends where this show happens at. We'll see how they do it, but it seems like, again, there's really no plan, and they're already looking at backup solutions for WrestleMania next year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's looking like there's just no plan. We'll see how it goes down. For the Hall of Fame class, kind of shitty as well, because obviously finally the British Bulldogs going in.
Right.
Like, well, I guess we got to postpone it till whenever it is. And SummerSlam would have been perfect. I think that would have been the perfect like Hall of Fame weekend for especially the Bulldog. I think that just would have been the best thing to eventually do. But I don't think any show's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, Backlash is at what? At the PC Center as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how this things go out. Another news, Sting is in the news in wrestling. I thought that was actually kind of interesting. Apparently, he has no longer a working contract with the WWE, which then prompted AEW fans to freak out and think Sting would go over there, which I'm kind of like, I mean, do I really care to see Sting in all elite wrestling? At this point, he's just going to pull the double A, Jake the Snake, Blanchard role, or,
Yeah, the AEW, I've said many times, I love it, but they're relying way too much on the manager aspect, and I get he's trying to give – maybe that's something that his father enforced on Cody of, like, the managers meant something, which I do agree with, but they're overdoing it, and they're definitely overdoing – yeah, they're overdoing the manager having to be someone that used to wrestle and knows this. Like, for Sting to come in, who's he going to be with? I don't know. I don't like what they're doing so far.
They'll put Sting with Darby immediately. They're already trying to do it with Taz. And I know RJ loves him some Taz.
No, sir.
So that's already in the works. I mean, look, I think the only thing that sucks about the whole Sting WWE thing is that we're probably never just going to get Taker Sting, even if they could do the whole boneyard, high-quality HD version that they were planning to do. But other than that, I mean, I guess good for Sting. It doesn't really bother me. The dude's been kind of MIA for a hot minute ever since, Seth Rollins, the career ender.
Yeah.
So I don't really see any importance of that happening unless you're going to run that back. Look, I just think Sting's got to do his own thing. Could I see him eventually show up to AEW? Yeah, but that'll probably be because of TNT more than AEW itself. And the Turners just wanting Stinger back in some capacity. I mean, they give out producer roles like it's candy over there in All Elite Wrestling, so I could see that happening for Sting at some point. It's funny that you brought back up the whole basketball thing with WWE. Apparently, we're going to get kind of like a football thing with AEW.
Oh, shit.
They're having a wrestling match on a football field at Double or Nothing between the Elite and the Inner Circle.
So this is going to be like another – are they going to start doing like video shows and
I think it's called like the Stampede football wrestling match that Jericho kind of tried to sell tonight, and it was just like a long-ass title. And I'm like, damn.
Interesting.
It's good to have some creativity. I understand that during these times, but sometimes a little bit too much can kind of do some damage, especially since we're supposed to get like the wannabe War Games match, and I don't know when that's ever going to happen now.
Well, because they wanted that to be an event, and they want that in front of fans, and that's not happening.
Yeah, Tony Khan went on their podcast and said he wants to put that on the back burner so when they're able to come, because that event alone, like that made like huge money for them.
Well, yeah, they want Blood and Guts to be one of their annuals.
Like pre-sale, like he went into it like he's like, yeah, like we're losing like millions of dollars like with this pandemic and like all the big things that they had planned. Like they said they were gonna have a couple shows in LA this month and like have a pay-per-view in LA like later on this year, but like that wasn't that kind of.
I ain't working out.
Stopped in his tracks, yeah. So like, he was talking about like all the plans. But yeah, like they want to wait until they're able to have a crowd for the Blood and Guts match because like that was a big money maker for them. So any type of specialty match like that, I don't think AEW will do it because Tony Khan is like like you can't lose money on shit like that. So which is smart.
Yeah, I always thought that match should have been on a pay-per-view anyways. I mean, it was going to be just on TNT.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were really going to put like a real stamp on it to make sure they sold it. The commercials were there and everything, but like I was shocked they didn't have like a whole card, built around that one specific match. They really could have, and I think they could have sold a lot of pay-per-view buys with just that match by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would be my rebuttal to that. But yeah, I don't see AEW doing anything. I'm interested to see how Double or Nothing does buying wise. If people are actually going to spend I think it's going for $65, which is a steep price for an AEW show that it's kind of just being rushed together now that they kind of have their full roster back, but not really. They're still missing some key guys. They have their not wanting to be money. I don't want to say they're copying Money in the Bank because I mean anybody could have a ladder match, but they have that concept where they're just going to hang a chip off the thing, which I'm like, okay, I guess, but it kind of is Money in the Bank. But again, they do have the creator there, Chris Jericho. This does
fit the pay per view though. Like I feel like Money in the Bank kind of lost its mystique as like what it actually was supposed to be. So like at least this ladder match fits the Double or Nothing name,
Yeah, and I mean, I'm guessing the main event is Brody Lee and Moxley. I mean, I don't know.
Which is very weird. They fast-tracked that to the point where I'm like, you didn't build up Brody enough to make that a sellable main event.
Yeah, they for sure rushed that, which I knew AEW was going to do. I mean, they did it with Moxley even winning the championship, to be honest.
No.
But, they should have gave that one time. But, I mean, I guess since, like, all the other big names are kind of doing, their own thing with the Elite versus the Inner Circle, did Jericho even get his rematch?
No.
Or are they not? Is that part of the whole, like, ranking system?
I haven't seen them do rematches since the beginning, so I think they've done one-offs. But yeah, Brody Lee, it's kind of they're rushing into the one rivalry kind of with Christopher Daniels and SCU. I don't know if that really equates getting an immediate main event title match. That's kind of, to me, it's just going to be hard to build a whole $65 pay-per-view around the idea of Moxley being the main event. And if you're following the numbers ratings-wise, Moxley's not really drawing that much for AEW. I hate to be the one to say it. I know there's a lot of Moxley fans out there in stands, but I mean, the two shows that he's been the main event on, NXT's won those 2 weeks, man. So it's like he's not drawing. I'm just being honest. If you look at the numbers, he's not.
Hey, Jack Swagger was in those main events too, sir.
Yeah, but
it was all Jack Swagger's fault.
It was.
No, Ambrose sucks. That's right, Ambrose. He sucks.
Was that your third White Claw? You all right?
No.
Hot takes from the commish.
People don't forget, Ambrose. You still suck.
Do you even have water there?
Yeah, there's water in a White Claw. What are you?
Well, other pay-per-view news. DX showed up on NXT. That I know maybe spoiler alert if you haven't watched.
Well, by the time they watch this, it's no longer.
It's all over the internet. So. Like if you're on Twitter, Instagram, all that shit, you saw it. But DX showed up on NXT tonight to announce that on June 7th, NXT Takeover in Your House pay-per-view will air. PPV and on the network.
Does anything come along with that when they say in your house? I mean, is it?
I mean, that would be cool if they brought back the old stage. I mean, I'd be down with that, but will they actually pull the trigger on that? I doubt it. It's probably going to be at the PC.
I mean, wasn't In Your House like a series though? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, a lot of the pay-per-views started as In Your House. The original the Judgment Day was In Your House.
That's how they all got their names, right?
Mm-hmm. It was the monthly pay-per-view. They just used to have taglines like "In Your House, Beware of Dog," "In Your House, DX," "In Your House, Rock Bottom." So
that's where Hell in a Cell started, right?
That was Bad Blood, wasn't it?
Bad Blood.
The last In Your House was Valentine's Massacre.
St. Valentine's Day
in Austin, where Big Show debuted. That was the last In Your House that they had in the WWE or WWE.
What was your favorite In Your House?
DX.
Yeah,
D-Generation X. Yeah.
You too, Will?
Just like, honestly,
Muted.
What about you, Hogan?
I don't. You know what? I don't really have like a strong memory about In Your House. Like, I don't recall it as being something like I went back to watch, or I remember watching highlights of it here and there.
Right.
I like the.
That's when I started watching it. They're doing a lot of In Your Houses. They were all In Your Houses except for except for the Big Four.
Mhm.
RJ, do you have a favorite In Your House?
It would probably be the DX one since that was the first one I rented from Blockbuster as a kid. So,
All right.
yeah.
Mine was Good Friends, Better Enemies.
Okay.
Diesel.
Nice.
Great match where he took off Mad Dog Vachon's leg.
That's right.
Fucking phenomenal.
That was a good one.
Anytime you can use a prosthetic leg in a match, it's a 5-star match.
That's what wins it over. And one last note. Well, I actually have another one as well. But Mike Tyson headed to AEW.
So because this came on right before we started. Where is this revealed, or literally AEW revealed this?
They announced it during Dynamite tonight. He will be presenting the TNT Championship. I mean, a lot of people thought that was going to be Sting's spot, but it's going to be Mike Tyson. Apparently returning to boxing. I mean, if you follow him.
Yeah. Apparently him and Evander Holyfield were supposed to.
Anybody who was ever involved with the WWE. Next, we're going to have Liberace presenting something. What? What's so funny?
Liberace.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, so thoughts on that, or you guys just like, eh?
I mean, so we've all seen Tyson made himself relevant again by letting the video slide of him training. I mean, and it looked killer, but he used that momentum when he knew that boxing wasn't going to do anything with him right now to get back into wrestling. That was a good PR move for him.
You don't think boxing's going to touch him?
Give them a couple of. I don't think right now.
Dude, they're dying to put him versus Tyson Fury. Dying.
Yeah. I just
or even Wilder would be good.
That would be. That really would be.
Oh, no,
I just think he hopped at the first major offer, and AEW got to him first. It's good on his part. I don't think it's necessarily great on theirs. It doesn't add anything.
Mike Tyson scream TNT? Like,
no.
Like that would make me understand if they went for Sting to do that, because that's like, okay, Sting was a name for TNT for years in WCW, or somebody that had anything to do with wrestling on TNT. Like Mike Tyson, I don't equate with AEW, first of all, and Khan.
No.
Or TNT. It's a TNT championship. Like, I mean, I'm really interested to see how that title even looks. Kind of scared to see how they kind of accomplished it. Hopefully,
it's just the TNT logo.
Probably.
Which is the circle with this.
Yep.
No, it's just a TV, and then
if it's the old school one, that'd be cool. The old school TNT logo just looked like the Nitro logo, so that could actually work. I mean.
Good thing the network doesn't have an S in it, because then Mike Tyson would have a really hard time saying it.
Spitting all over the title belt while he's presenting it.
Get him to introduce Sting. Sting's coming back.
Oh, dude.
Sting, guys, Sting.
Imagine if he has to say Jake the Snake Roberts. Oh, that's going to be glorious. I really hope they force him to say it. Have him announce it. I don't care.
We'll just say Jake Roberts.
Put him on the announcement with JR. I would be.
Lord.
I would be so
Really
down.
neck breaker.
Crossroads.
It was a crossroads.
I'll never get over that.
Oh, that's so good.
I'll never get over that first AEW show when the dude was just screaming Crossroads like 12 times.
Oh man!
Anybody watch Dark Side of the Ring?
Yes.
I'm actually
this morning.
2 weeks behind, unfortunately, because I didn't get to watch the UWF one. No, yes, I did. What was the one before this week?
UWF. I think
it was UWF. Okay, so I just saw that one. I haven't watched Road Warriors.
And then this week, this week's is Legion of Doom, right?
Yeah.
Best
line of the UWF, man. He died doing what he
loved.
He
died doing cocaine and hookers.
Cocaine and hookers.
Hey,
should all be so lucky.
If there's a way to go out, shit.
Now, I didn't
Yeah.
really grow up on. I mean, because I was 1 when that was out. I didn't really grow up on that product. Did it do anything for you, Taddy? I mean, I don't know of anyone that really.
Thank you for dating me.
Not like that. I'm just saying, like, you're in the industry. No one that I know out here, because I should say it like this. On Dark Side of the Ring, they made it a big deal about being out here.
Yeah.
No one that I know out here thinks of it as being a big deal.
Right.
You know, it didn't.
Honestly, I've heard the name Herb Abrams for a long time, but
No.
off and on and stuff. But I never really knew about the UWF and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to learn about it.
I mean, every once in a while, I would see like a best of. I think ESPN used to run like a best of when I was younger, but like it didn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
No.
I just love the cocaine and hookers line, man.
That was good.
It's,
well, and then it's a sad. I mean, like.
It's
he brought out Andre the Giant when he was far past his prime, and then Vince saw it and brought him right back and took it away.
What a dickhead Vince is, man. Fuck.
What about this week without getting into spoilers? How was it?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I love learning about them. But when it's a tag team, it's such a good story because there's two sides to it. You know what I mean? Like, it was really, really cool to see. I liked it a lot.
I know for sure I'm watching this week because, man.
Oh, Owen Hart, yeah.
Owen Hart. And that's the season finale, right?
Yeah.
I wish they would extend the seasons. But yeah, that's a very good show. I'll have to watch the LOD one, obviously, because I'm up to like 99 on the network, and even seeing like them try and force draws on LOD, and making Hawk be an alcoholic, which was a little weird if you know the backstory there. So it's just, I don't know.
This Owen one's going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy. It's going to be pretty heavy.
You got Cornette on this one. You know he's going to go after Russo. He's going to make it so personal. And it's just going to be so dumb. He's not even going to be thinking about Owen. He's just going to be using it as propaganda.
I'm sure I know the answer already, but did they get Martha? Did they get her to talk at all on this? For Owen? I'm curious.
I'm not sure.
No idea. We'll see next week.
Yeah. I'll be shocked if they get her or the kids, because she has turned them so off of wrestling that they're so against it. And you know what? I get it to a certain extent, but it's very sad. I don't vouch for Brett a lot of the time, but the fact that Brett's own nephew and niece are turned against him because he stayed with wrestling based on her is a little messed up. Yeah, it's sad.
I mean, you'd want to know your dad's legacy. You know what I mean? You'd want to know
exactly. Especially, you're a heart. You are the legacy. You are wrestling at the end of the day. It's very sad.
Yeah, I mean, should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a damn shame that hasn't been worked out. In the preview of it, they show his grave, and dude, just fucking chills immediately. It's just gonna be one of those episodes where it's gonna be tough to watch. I'm gonna get really annoyed when I see certain people on that show kind of try to push their own agenda. That's what's gonna.
Of course. Well, that's been the biggest problem with that show. I love this show, but and not to sound like a broken record, but when Cornette gets on a goddamn rant on the show, I'm like, would you just shut up and let me enjoy the product? Like, it's so annoying hearing him try and force his own lies into everyone's story. And aside from Cornette, it's a great series. But listening to these assholes try and redo history on this in front of you, when you know most of the stories already, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
What would you guys want to see on next season? Just throw some stuff out there.
I would not mind an XPW episode at all. Especially, there could be two. Because one, you could have an entire episode on XPW. And two, you could have the story of the Messiah and Rob Black when Messiah gets his thumb taken and no one knows the story of what happened.
Or a good one would be the fight that happened at the CW show when XPW showed up there.
Oh, yeah. At Heatwave.
Yeah, whatever.
99 or 2000. Yeah, whichever. Well, yeah.
That'd be a nice little episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also want to see the I know this is such a short story though, but the Sheik and Jim Duggan car ride.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
There's a couple of ECW ones you could tell as well. I
I was like,
basically give me a
you
Candido
go
and
indies.
Sonny episode.
Yep. You know what? A Bam Bam Bigelow episode would be amazing.
Yeah.
It'd be really, really good.
Yeah. True.
Okay, just a whole Paul Heyman episode. And it's
Just
New
him in
Jack-
general,
just
or
New
Heyman?
Jack's commentary on how much he hates Paul Heyman.
I mean, New Jack's episode alone of Heyman getting on the stand and just overselling New Jack. I'm sorry. So
Don't
good.
stab me.
God, there's a bunch of stories they could do.
There's a lot you can do. Like I feel like this show could definitely run for a long time. You never know. They might get this current WWE situation on next season. Shit, you don't know.
Oh yeah, dude, all these things that's happening right now in wrestling is going to be told for years and years.
Yeah.
The way.
Well, let's say, another one, Macho Man and Stephanie.
Oh, I want to see that one so bad.
Raven and Vince, because there's a whole other backstory there for the opposite. Well, not that makes it sound like that. I've heard a couple of situations with Raven and the McMahon children, both of them, that they both got to. Raven likes to take this. This sounds real dark, but no,
I know,
it's
damn.
it's a little better. And I'll
maybe we'll talk about this when we're done recording.
Nah, let's let the fans hear it. Raven likes to party excessively. This is known, and took a very young Shane McMahon and partied, not in the same way as Macho Man, but got Shane on a couple of things that Raven used to do as well. And once Vince heard this, he wasn't a fan of Scotty Polo anymore. So.
I thought
there's a couple of stories. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It
I thought you were going to
The
go.
presentation was very dark.
Well, no, but there is also, I've heard the same story with Macho Man as I did with Raven with Stephanie as well. I don't think that one's as true as I can believe Macho Man, but there's many stories out there, so there's definitely many seasons Dark Side to continue having.
Yeah, but that's on like to borrow a phrase from another podcast.
They should do one on Booker T's slip on WCW about Hogan.
Oh yes.
A whole episode on that.
A whole episode?
It's thrown around for it's long.
I mean,
Just
I'm
interview.
sure they could do an entire one on everyone that claims Triple H buried their careers.
I'm just
Oh, God.
just on Triple H.
I just
Steiner
don't
would,
want to.
Steiner would be a blast.
I don't want to see Alex Riley again. Come on.
Oh, no.
I know, right? It's like, we get it, dude. Like, you don't have to keep singing the same song every damn time you're on TV.
I have a feeling they're gonna, if they do China, like X-Pac.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Think
definitely
about
got to be a
that.
China episode in
The
general.
XFL. You think they'll do an XFL one?
It's not part of the.
But is that exactly? Yeah.
I know, the failures of a businessman that try to compete with the NFL, it's going to be very short, just like the XFL one. If they did the China one, I would just love to see the dramatization of the sex tape.
Right. I mean, there's a,
Dude, it was like 8
It's just, it's gonna be
X-Pac
like
wanted
how,
to play himself on this.
it's gonna be like how RJ is right now, but with another person who's doing this.
Oh, another good episode. Muhammad Hassan.
Was what?
Muhammad Hassan. That would be,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah.
that would be a good episode.
Yeah, true.
Somebody just brought that up on Twitter the other day, how like WWE still aired that 2 days after the London bombings.
Yeah.
They could have pulled it, and they were just like, let's just put it anyways. Let's have these
Well,
It's like, what's
poke out
the
the
harm?
Undertaker.
But the idea behind that too, if you look at the start of the Muhammad Hassan character, it was meant to be anti that.
Yeah. It was completely different.
And they turned it just into straight terrorism because that's Vince's mindset.
Yeah, that's what they do. They go stale for a while, and then they're like, "Oh, let's just bring up some controversy." And like, all right, let's do that.
Do you buy the fact that he was supposed to win the championship?
I think at the start of his
yeah.
gimmick, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that they were gonna do the whole, I mean they did it with freaking Jinder. I don't see why they wouldn't do it with Hassan at that time.
No.
They would have strapped the title on him.
I mean, while we're on it, because again, I'm on 99 right now of the W Network. I'm just sitting here. This is what I do with my off time. I watch in order every event from WWE and pay-per-view. So 99, I'm on the Ministry of Darkness, continuing, because I've heard many reasons for this. Have you guys heard the alternatives of that Vince wasn't supposed to be the higher power?
Christopher Daniels.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what I was going to ask. What do you think? Well, I know what happened, but who do you think had Christopher Daniels in mind of a no one? Because the alternative to that, I heard Cyrus the Virus, who was the Jackal, was also supposed to be a backup plan to Christopher Daniels. But it's interesting to me that, like, because that was such a flop. Like, that was probably the first major flop of the storyline that I saw when you had this higher power and Vince was like a tweener at the time. You had Austin save Stephanie, and then the big reveal is just Vince, like, it was me all along. Like, that was garbage. And you could tell, even as a kid, I remember being like, that's not what they had in mind. Like, that's how bad that story ended.
Maybe it's a Russo story that Cornette got nicked halfway through.
That would make sense. That would definitely make sense.
Yeah, because they just went into another Vince Austin storyline, which was like, oh, the cool thing about it is that it wasn't that. And they were kind of working together for the first time, which was like, oh, this is kind of interesting because it's just they're kind of both forced into it. And then it just went back to the same old, they're at it again. And now Taker's with Paul and, Vince, and now Shane's there. And now it's the whole corporate ministry. And then it just lost complete.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that they were presenting with
Let's not forget the best part of that entire thing. Where to, Stephanie? That was the best part of the entire fucking thing.
That's true.
Did Macho Man answer that question too?
Yeah, but his theme was playing the entire time. Jig it.
Oh, man.
That's why he had that song, because it's like it reminds him of high school.
He was waiting for Stephanie to graduate. Oh man!
Oh no!
Like, now I can show her the finger spin.
Fucking will.
You threw the setup, man.
Oh damn!
Oh, man.
Well, this whole podcast was a setup for that joke.
You didn't say shit the entire show. The one thing you say.
He just knocked it out of the park. It was like,
oh man!
This is why you wait patiently and you wait for your moment and you hit where the iron is stopped, man. That was great.
It was like a money in the bank for a joke.
That's why they say to be careful of the quiet one.
Just for that.
Do we have any questions for this week's episode? I know I have.
So mine kind of goes along with the last. I'm just going off. I've had a couple people ask me things that we've said. So this is going back a couple weeks when we were mocking. What the fuck is the name of the terrible game coming out?
Battleground.
We were mocking Battleground, and I said, is it a game based on the juniors division? I was asked what I was talking about, which I'm actually proud of that people have forgotten what this was. This was what, 05? The juniors division was W's, and there's a whole other story here. It was midgets. It was an entire midget division brought to SmackDown. There's no nice way of saying that, and I'm not going to try to say it nicely. The story goes, WWE was asked.
The word midgets.
The WWE was asked to revamp the cruiserweight division. That's how this started.
Jesus.
They said they were going to make the cruiserweight division international, and it was going to be like an international cruiserweight tournament. Which, if you go back, TNA did better, which was the X Cup. They had a list of names that were going to be hired for this cruiserweight division, including Juventud, including Super Crazy, including guys that were all picked up about 6 months after this. However, they took this list to John Laurinaitis. He said, yup. And then the next week, they came into SmackDown and a bunch of midgets were standing there that Laurinaitis hired and said that this is the junior division. This is literally any time in history of wrestling that you had someone come out and mock. The Hardys were midgets when Edge and Christian brought them out. The Dudleys had midgets. Dink. Basically, anyone that was ever that got rehired. Yep. Rehired for this. And there was a guy in Mexico who's actually, I think he passed away, but Super Porky. Is he around or did he pass away?
What?
I don't remember now. Super Porky was one of the biggest names.
Super Porky died?
I don't remember. That's the saddest
I don't think
part.
he did.
I'm not trying to mock. I really don't remember. Okay. I'll look that up after.
Someone who knows
Super Porky was probably the most...
to confirm.
No, these GCF motherfuckers said he
Super
died.
Porky was the most well-known of the division. I'll tell you that much, at least internationally.
Hold on. Before you continue, I'm just watching the little intro for it. Why is it
It looks like childish. Yep.
Yeah.
See, and I like that. I got to ask this, guys, because this is what we're willing to do. Ask us any question, and I'll explain. Yes, the junior division ended up being a bunch of little people. There you go. I'm saying.
There you go. That's right word.
And they wrestled in their own division. They were never given a title.
I feel like it was Billy Bonds under a mask.
It could be. But this storyline went nowhere, and around the same time, they had a character named Palmer Cannon, who was a representative of the network that literally just took the same gimmick of Cyrus the Virus from ECW that we just talked about. And this was another guy that JBL bullied out of the company, which I can talk about that another time because this doesn't really feed into that. But yeah, you had a whole era of, and by era I mean a summer. You had a summer of the junior division, and then they didn't get over because why would they? And they treated them like crap.
Okay, so,
there you go. So
Max Mini, right?
Yeah.
He was Max Mini, right?
Max Mini?
Yeah, he was Max Mini though back in the day, right?
Okay.
In the Attitude Era, I think. I'm pretty sure.
All right. But yeah, they had talent. This is the problem too, but it's WWE, which means if you have a little person wrestling, it's got to be a joke. And so the division didn't get over, and they fired them all by the end of the summer. And the guy that was brought in to be the guy that hired them quit on an international tour because JBL bullied him. So one more thing that JBL did wrong. They could have a whole Dark Side episode on JBL too. Just being a dick.
Yeah, the Blumini incident. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh my god.
Blumini.
Yeah.
Although I would love to hear the one about Joey Styles knocking him out.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I want to hear the one about how Saint moved to Truly's now because he's finished all his White Claws.
I love that you picked up on that.
Oh yeah, no, that's what made me bust up laughing right now because I'm like,
White Claw trader. Super Porky is alive, by the way.
Okay, good for you.
oh, okay, good.
I love
It was
Super
confirmed.
Porky. That's not even mocking. Love me.
Scared me.
Still kicking at the great age of 57 years old, so he's still around.
But yeah, guys,
Probably still wrestling.
I bet. That was the only question I was asked was to just talk about.
How about you, Hollywood? You said you got some.
Yeah, they always ask me this, and I never answer this on my channel. They said if we were living right now at our age during the Monday Night Wars, which company would we have been siding on or watching mostly?
WWF, hands down.
Caddy?
They had Sean.
Okay, both of you guys said RJ?
WWF.
Vic?
Yeah, pretty much WWF because that's all that's like the home brand. Like, everybody knows that. It's like
at the time, and you said Attitude Era, so of course I'm going to side WWF during the Monday Night Wars. If you asked me even a little prior, I might have said that I would try and tune in WCW because they did try and aim at one point to be more adult, but they didn't get it over. And then Attitude Era happened, and they blew me away. It wasn't even a comparison anymore.
Here's a funny story about that. Like, I remember in junior high school when I was like going through classes, and then I see these people. This is when like DX was huge, and I just saw shirts. I'm like, what the heck is D-Generation X, right? And they're just like, you don't know what this is? Suck it. And I'm like, what is that? Like, what is this? So I had to. I asked a bunch of people, and finally someone told me what it was, and like it got me interested. So that's why I'm like, when you say around that time, I'm like WWF, of course, because that's what it just reminded me of that.
Yeah, but I will say, and it happened to pretty much everyone, that as you get older, the first clip of ECW that I saw, because I was entering teens, I was enthralled with ECW.
Oh yeah.
But again, Attitude had to get me there first. Attitude Era is your gateway drug into ECW. So
To me, it was always like where you started off, what you started off watching on Monday, and where you ended off on Monday. And It always started with WWE. Yeah, you'd flip channels, but you always flip back to WWE.
Oh, yeah.
And at WWE as well. You were much more enthralled with the ending of Raw than on Nitro.
No.
Nitro was always random. Never really put everything together. NWO was all in the ring, all fucking 45 of them.
I never did that.
You know what I mean? So, to me, WWE was the home net, like you said, the home of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The only reason I would switch over to WCW was for the cruiserweight matches. That's it.
Right? True.
Yeah, I definitely stopped watching WCW once the NWO split into the Wolfpack and all the
Well, and
different
see, I didn't
NWO.
mind the first incarnation of the Wolfpack. That was cool. But by that time, the NWO got stale. Then you had the Wolfpack. Then when they came back together, it was all downhill.
Yeah,
what was the point?
Once Hall and Nash started having turmoil within those two, I was like, well, why am I still watching this? Now it's just
So I
the
still
NWO
stand by
versus
when
each
they
other.
let Scott Hall play the alcoholic because he wasn't.
Oh, that was great. That was good stuff.
One of my favorite.
Back now.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. One of my favorite things that happened that WCW did. Do you remember when they got back at the NWO and messed up their?
You cut out there at the end.
I'm sorry. Do you remember when they got back at the NWO and then messed with their limo and just screwed up their limo?
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was in the rain.
Yeah.
And watching Conan try to spray paint a car in the rain and me dying as a kid, bro. I'm like, that doesn't work. Come on, man. Come on. See it fall and cascade off. Oh, but it was
and that's looking back. That's the best part of WCW is pulling up all their bodies.
The little shit.
It's like when it was 2 times ago now, but the last time I was on the Royal Rumble and they asked me a question about Goldberg, I made them pull up him punching out the window, slicing himself, and then hitting it where you see the blood fly because he's literally cut a nerve. The man could have died. I'm like, you're so stupid.
Oh man, good times. WCW was terrible.
Yep. It's just it's that hashtag that Road Dogg made back when he had a little highlight show. WCW ruins everything. It was, I forget the name of the show. It was him and Josh Matthews at the time.
Oh, it was the one where they were making fun of stuff, right?
Yeah, where they had Puppet H. That's back when the website was still gold.
Yeah.
Josh Matthews, what happened to him?
He's still a TNA announcer.
Oh, is he?
Impact announcer.
Whatever the fuck they're calling it nowadays.
Isn't it funny how all these tough enough guys from the early years got jobs in this business and still working them?
Oh, you know what? We didn't plug RJ. We made a promise prior.
Oh, yes.
Let's plug our producer, Eric. He's got himself a deal with Raise Energy.
Woo! The best energy drink in the biz,
fans,
bro.
Fans, if you like yourself some Raise Energy and you like the way that our shows are produced, then go ahead and type in the code EROCKER. That's EROCKR, and get yourself a discount on Raise Energy. You can find it at Gold Gyms everywhere. Gold Coast approves Gold Gyms.
When they open.
Boom.
When they open.
Sorry, Eric. Sorry. Let's just be real.
Shout out to Raise Energy.
Oh, you didn't need Billy Bonds for that promotion.
Shit.
Oh.
You got Saint right here. I can endorse it myself. We got this.
No, but you don't want to endorse Raise, do you? No one wants to endorse Tough Tony Rays. So no.
I didn't say anything about Tony Rays.
That's what I'm saying. That was the joke Hollywood was making.
I just choose to ignore anything involving Tony Rays right now.
I just think you're a few claws and Trulies in.
Oh, Trulies are literally water. I'm more sober than when I started drinking them.
Oh man, do we have any other questions or anybody?
I mean, that was it for me.
I mean,
I don't have any questions.
No more Q&As. All right, guys. We always
Nobody
tell you
knows that
send in the Q&As. Oh, my assistant just brought me. I have to do tequila. Blue Agave.
Yeah.
Blue Agave, Jose Cuervo. We're gonna save that for the next watch along though, because I figure they're not getting any better.
Backlash might be tough to do because I don't know if I'm going to care enough about
God.
Backlash.
Especially if it's
at least
Jinder
you know
Mahal.
Backlash.
Which
Yeah,
is the
at
rumor.
least you know Backlash is going to be 2 hours.
Well, and let's say this because we know it's coming based on what I've been told. Would you prefer Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre or Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre?
Bobby Lashley with MVP though.
I prefer a nap.
Yeah.
Well, didn't we already get Drew and Lashley throughout Impact back when that was a thing?
But nobody watched that.
No,
Nobody
did.
recalls those
But
moments.
well, that's what I'm like. You're pushing Drew, you're pushing Lashley. These are both Impact stars. Why isn't Morrison getting a push? He should be main eventing right now.
Like that.
Yeah, I do not want to see Jinder anywhere near.
No. Well, and teasing that he's a face. I'm like, guys, come on. It's not going to work. Unless you put the Bollywood boys back with him and you all have them be campy. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Nice day. Nice.
I always picture
Yep, he's
Jinder
drunk.
just like doing this, and then he just like with his face.
Jesus.
You can't end the fucking
Anything else at this point, guys, or is that another episode?
I believe so. Caddy, you're getting really close to that 1-year title reign. How's it feel?
Feels wonderful, man.
I mean, hold on.
I mean,
The answer. Does
Right.
it count with this whole thing, though?
yes, it fucking counts. Every day, every hour, every minute that passes
Why would you even ask him?
counts. It counts.
I asked a hard-hitting question.
Well, how would we be? Let me ask you a rebuttal to that, Vic. How would we be able to stop time?
Yes.
Even if I wasn't, proud at this point of who's champ.
Well,
I am.
personally, you just die.
So then, but like because of the
Jesus.
coronavirus,
man.
we just
God.
You just wish me dead?
I don't think he did.
No.
See what happens when he gets the Macho
Then
Man
I
joke
once,
off
I
again.
once threatened his life, but I never said that. God,
Jeez, Vic. I thought we were friends.
I just threatened him, and he did the same. But come on, man.
I'm just answering the question.
I died.
June 1st, he
Got a
is
few text messages to make.
he is a 1-year champion, and he's already the longest reigning defending. Let's be true about that. You know where to find him, so he's still defending it. I'll play the role of devil's advocate at the moment since Rossi's not around. He hasn't denied any fight. I've thrown everything I had at him. He's hit me back. So
Literally.
I've still, between the cane shot and the bumps otherwise, I don't know, man. I've still got to sell these things. But I'll tell you right now, June 1st, you're a 1-year champ. So congrats to that. You're already our longest reigning. I know Barone says he's still coming for you, so not to take anything away from you, but I'm looking forward to that fight.
Yeah, well, by the time Barone gets to me, makes pictures on his Instagram and stuff, he's gonna be the bad bod god, and so I'm not worried. I'm not scared of anybody or anything. Come for this. I don't mind fighting. I've been punched in the face before many times. I don't mind doing that again. It's fun. But to answer your question, Hollywood, man, it feels
No, yeah.
I get to wake up every day as the GCF champion, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think GCF is probably headed to another summer of Caddy as the SoCal champion. I mean, the way things are going, It's just that's the way it seems like. I mean, we might go through the whole calendar year, and I don't see any reason for that reign to end anytime soon. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 5 of Missing the Mark. As always, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, follow us on all our social media platforms. You name it, we're on there. Follow the Fed. We have more content coming your way. As long as this continues, I'm pretty sure we'll probably try to do a little bit other watch-alongs depending on the shows that they're presented to us. And we have some highlight videos still coming your way. I think we got a lot of things in the back burner that we're ready to get out there to the YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure it's the notification bell. Follow all of us on our social medias as well. Follow Caddy. I know you're all over social media, Twitter, all that. Go follow the champ. Go follow Rossi. You know, I know he's all over social media too. Usually, always fighting with Becky.
He's always picking on some WF star. Usually, Becky.
I'm telling you, we got to start the podcast. Rossi hates everything.
Good God, man, his tweets.
Best podcast ever.
Yeah, he really should, man. He really should. So shout out to everybody. Follow us all on our social media. Saint, all of us were on there, Twitter, everything. Follow us. You can just hit us up on the search engine. Probably leave some links down below in the description so you can easily find us on our social medias down there. So make sure you click down below. And if you have a question you want it to be answered and be featured on the show, ask that question in the comment section down below, or find us on Instagram. We're usually always giving you guys the ability to ask us those same questions on our Instagram and other platforms as well. And hey, we'll feature you. I'm pretty sure we could do that. I could edit their names in there and show the question. So if you want to be featured on this podcast, make sure you send us some questions. Anything. It doesn't really matter what it is. If it's controversial, doesn't matter the topic. As long as it's in the wrestling world, ask it. I'm pretty sure we're going to answer it. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 5 of Missing the Mark. It is your host, Hollywood Hogan.
Joseph Saint.
RJ Wallace.
Chris Kadillak.
Oh,
Yeah, and Victor Cassidy. I don't know why I'm here still.
you were here for that Macho Man joke and you got it over very.
We're really
And then,
Here's to that.
and then Identity RJ down there as well. So anyways, we will see you guys next Wednesday. And once again, we will be back to Mats and Marks as soon as we are allowed to. For the meantime, this has been Missing the Mark, episode number 5.